Hello students, I am Saili Rathod from International Center of Excellence in Engineering and Management, ICEEM, Aurangabad. Today we are going to start a new video lecture series of Digital Signal Processing, that is DSP, whose subject code is ETC 304. So as this is the first video lecture of DSP, in this video we will see the introduction to the syllabus and we will also see the paper pattern of the DSP. Okay, so before moving ahead towards the syllabus, what is actually DSP or what we are going to study in this subject? As the subject is digital signal processing, it means we have to deal with the different signal processing techniques, and also we have to see what are the different types of signals and what are the techniques or what are the different types of filters that we can use for the signal processing. So from the next video lecture we will start with the actual syllabus. This is just an introductory video, so let's start with the syllabus of the DSP. So friends, this is the actual syllabus for the third year semester 5 and the subject is DSP, which consists or which is having a theory examination of 80 marks. You will have a class test of 20 marks. The theory examination will be of 3 hours. Okay, so now let's move towards the objective. So what is the main objective of this subject, DSP? It is to understand DSP and ASP systems, that is to understand what is digital signal processing and the analog signal processing. Then to understand the ZT, DTFT, DFT, that is we have to see the Z transform. Okay, then we have to see different filters also. Then we have to understand, analyze and design FIR, IIR filters and its realization. Okay, so we have a separate chapter for FIR filters and IIR filters, and we have to see its realization. Then the next objective is to understand its hardware implementation using DSP processor. Okay, so overall in this subject we have to start with the basics of the DSP and ASP systems. Then we will see the different transforming methods, transforms, and then we will see two types of filters, FIR and IIR filter, and in the last unit we will see the actual processor which is used for the digital signal processing. Okay, now the prerequisites, that is what is expected from all of you before studying the DSP. So the knowledge of signals and systems, as if you have opted for the signals and systems in second year, then you must know the basics of the signals and systems. Okay, now we will move towards the first unit of the DSP. So first unit is about introduction of digital signal processing. In this chapter we will see what are the basic elements of DSP system. Then we will see what are the advantages of DSP and how the digital signal processing is good as compared to the analog signal processing. Then we will see the introduction of different types of systems like FIR and IIR. Then we will see realizations of FIR and systems, in which there is introduction, basic realization, block diagram, FIR realization, direct form, non-linear phase and linear phase, then the cascade and parallel realization, then IIR realization, direct form 1, direct form 2, cascade and parallel. So all these types of realizations of FIR and systems we will see in the first unit. This unit will require 6 hours to cover the complete syllabus. So first, introduction of DSP and realization of FIR and systems. Then the unit number 2, that is the Z transform. Okay, so friends, in digital signal processing the Z transform is very important, as in this we are going to deal with the discrete signals. So for that purpose we need to study and implement the Z transform. So in second unit we will cover the syllabus, that is the direct Z transform, the inverse Z transform, properties of Z transform, rational Z transform, inversion of Z transform, stability in Z domain, the one-sided Z domain Z transform, relation between Laplace transform and Z transform, relation between Fourier transform and Z transform. This second unit will require approximate 8 hours to complete this chapter. So this is how we have covered the syllabus of first 2 units. Now the third unit is DFT, that is discrete Fourier transform, and fast Fourier transform, FFT. In this third unit we will cover the points: frequency domain sampling, the discrete Fourier transform DFT as a linear transformation, properties of the DFT, circular convolution, linear convolution versus circular convolution. Means we have to study both linear as well as circular convolution, and we have to comparatively study these two types of convolution. Then we have to study FFT algorithms, decimation in time, DIT algorithm, decimation in frequency, DIF algorithm, computation of inverse DFT using FFT. Then fast convolution techniques, overlap, add method, overlap, save method. So all these points we will cover in third unit, which will require around 8 hours. Then the unit number 4, it is about the FIR filter designing, and unit number 5 is about IR filter designing. So in FIR filter design, we will see what are the basic characteristics of FIR filter, properties of FIR filter, FIR design using windowing technique, rectangular window, Hamming window and Hamming window, FIR design using Kaiser window, FIR design using frequency sampling techniques. So all these techniques are related to the FIR filter designing. Then in the fifth unit we will see how to design a IR filter. So we have to study first introduction to IR filter designing by using approximation of derivatives, impulse invariant method and bilinear Z transformation method, matched Z transform method, design of low pass digital Butterworth filter, frequency transformation, comparison of FIR and IR filter. So many of you will be new to all these terms, so that's why we will not go in detail of the syllabus. We will just read out the points so that you should get friendly to all these terms, because we have to study all the points in detail. So you must know the terms which we are going to study in this subject. Now the sixth unit is finite word length effects in digital filters, binary fixed point, floating point number representation, comparison, quantization noise, truncation and rounding, quantization noise power, input quantization error, coefficient quantization error, limit cycle, oscillations, deadband, overflow, error signal scaling. And lastly, in the sixth unit we will see the DSP processors. Okay, so this is very important, where we will see the actual processors used for digital signal processing. In this subpoint we will study the introduction, architecture of DSP processors, TMS320C67XX, its specification we will see. Then we will see the comparison between general purpose and DSP processor. Okay, so this is all about the sixth unit, which will require around 6 hours. These are the list of reference books. You can get the best book among this. As we will go further in the syllabus, I will tell you the book that you have to refer, but still you can use any one of them. From my point of view, the Salivahanam, that is DSP by Salivahanam and Vallabh Raj, second number textbook, is good. Again the Ramesh Babu, this is also a good book, Digital Signal Processing by P. Ramesh Babu. And from the reference book also, McGraw-Hill, you can use the Tata McGraw-Hill publication for the short notes of this subject. Okay, so this is all about the syllabus. Now we will see what is the paper pattern of the DSP. As you know, the section complete syllabus is divided into 2 sections. Section A consists of unit 1 to 3 and section B consists of 4, 5, 6. The pattern of the question paper, I'll read it out. The 6 units in the syllabus shall be divided into 2 parts, that is 3 respectively. Question paper shall be set having 2 sections, A and B. Section A questions shall be set on first part and section B questions on second part. Question paper should cover the entire syllabus for 80 marks paper. Okay, so as we know, the paper will be of 80 marks. There will be minimum 10 questions, 5 questions in each section. Means section A will be of question number 1 to 5 and section B will be of question number 6 to 10. From this, question number 1 and question number 6 will be compulsory and should cover complete syllabus of the respective section and should be set for 10 marks each. The question number 1 and 6 should be of objective nature. Okay, so only first and 6 number question will be objective question and the rest of the questions, that is from question number 2 to 5 and question number 7 to 10 will be descriptive. 2 questions of 15 marks each from remaining questions from each section A and B be asked to solve. Okay, so you have to solve 2 questions from section A and 2 questions from section B. Okay, so first question is compulsory. After this first question, you have to solve any 2 questions from section A, and from section B, question number 6 is compulsory and you have to solve any 2 questions from the section B. So this is the paper pattern. This is similar to the other papers also. So we have covered the syllabus and the paper pattern of the DSP. Now in the next lecture we will go in detail of the first unit. But before going towards that, we will see a general or basic concept of DSP and then we will stop. So now, first of all, we will see what is a signal. As the subject is dealing with the signal processing, so you must know what is an actual signal. So signal is nothing but anything that carries information can be called as signal. Okay, so it must be anything, but it should contain a particular information. It can also be defined as a physical quantity that varies with time, temperature, pressure, or with any independent variables such as speech, signal, or video. The process of operation in which the characteristics of a signal, amplitude, shape, phase, frequency, etc. undergoes a change is known as a signal processing. Okay, so signal is what? Which contains a particular information and which varies with time, means which changes as the time changes. So this is a signal. Now what is meant by the process of operation? Means what is the signal processing? Signal processing is what? If the amplitude, shape, phase, frequency, if these parameters are undergoing any change, then that process is called as the signal processing. So this is about the signal and the signal processing. Now, as we know, there are 2 types of signals. First one is continuous time signal and second one is discrete time signal. So in digital signal processing, we are going to deal with this second part, that is we have to deal with discrete time signals. Okay, so now we will see here what is continuous time signal. Continuous time signals are defined along a continuous of time and are thus represented by a continuous independent variable. Continuous time signal are often referred to as analog signal. Okay, so here I will overwrite, sorry for that. Consider this axis and if you represent this type of signal like sine wave, so this is nothing but a continuous time signal. Why? Because the signal is continuously varying with the time. So this is called as the continuous time signal. Okay, so this type of signal shows continuity both in amplitude and time. This will have values at each instant of time. Sine and cosine functions are the best example of continuous time signal. Okay, so if you consider this signal, if you are asked about the value of this signal at this particular event, then you can measure this. If you are asked at this particular time, you can measure the signal. So it means at any particular time you can get the value of that particular signal. So this is called the continuous time signal. The examples of continuous signal are sine and cosine functions. The signal shown above is an example of continuous time signal because we can get value of signal at each instant of time. Okay, so from this you can get the value of the signal at this point, at this point, at this point, at this point. At any point you can take the value. So that's why this is called as the continuous time signal. Okay, so opposite to that there is a discrete time signal. Okay, so what is discrete time signal? The signal which are defined as discrete times are known as the discrete signals. Therefore, every independent variables has distinct value. Thus, they are represented as sequence of numbers. Now, why it is called as the discrete time signal? Because the signal is not continuous. It is sampled at different times. Okay, so as you can see from this figure, there is a signal at this particular time, at this particular time, at this particular time, and the values are different. Okay, so that's why this is a discrete time signal, because the values are discrete, not continuous. Although speech and video signals have the privilege to be represented in both continuous and discrete time format, under certain circumstances they are identical. Amplitudes are shown discrete characteristics. Perfect examples of this is a digital signal whose amplitude and time both are discrete. Okay, so this figure shows the discrete time signal. So here just remember two concepts. There are two types of signals, a continuous time signal and a discrete time signal. Continuous time signal means that values vary according to the time, but the signal is continuous. Here the values also vary with time, but the signal is not continuous. It is having a discrete value at different time. So this is the discrete time signal. In DSP we have to deal with this type of signals. Okay, so now we will see the basic block diagram of digital signal processing. So as in this figure you can see different blocks. First one is A to D converter. Now the input to the A to D converter is what? The analog input signal. So in complete digital signal processing system, there is a particular input. It may be an analog input signal. But as this is a digital signal processing method, so the signal must be in the form of digital signal. So the function of this block is to convert from analog to digital signal. That's why we have used A to D converter block here. So first part is A to D converter. Then the digital signal is given to the digital signal processor. Here the processing is done and the output of this digital signal is given again to the D to A converter. Why? Because if the required output is required as the analog signal, so therefore we need to convert again this digital signal into analog. So for this purpose we have used a D to A converter which will convert the digital signal into analog signal, and thus this analog signal will be taken as the output from the DSP system. Okay, so basically remember three blocks. First one is D to A converter, then DSP, digital signal processor, and then the D to A converter. So this is the basic concept of the digital signal processing. Okay, so I think the concept of what we have to study in this subject is clear to everyone, and we have the clear idea now that which chapters we have to study, in which chapter we have to cover which topics. So see you in the next lecture. We will start with the first unit, that is Introduction to DSP Systems. So till that, keep studying. Thank you so much.